Alright, I'm going to continue this video. We got shut off here on the last one. We entitled Prematurely Cut Off Low Storage. That's the name of the video. But we were talking about litter at the time that we got cut off. And we said a few more things, quite a few more things actually, before we looked at the LCD screen and realized we were supposedly ran out of storage and they cut the video short. So maybe we did. Anyhow, litter. I was going on about litter. I'm going to jump right into it and say that I don't litter often, but at times I do litter, and I'll tell you why. Because sometimes it just seems so much more convenient to litter because there's no place to deposit it in. What it is that you've got, or dispose of it at, and as well as so many people are littering out there that it just kind of seems like, well, what's the fucking point, right? Kind of like cars. If I don't get a car right now today, I'll never drive a car again, or a vehicle with a combustible engine on it. How much of a difference is that going to make, ultimately, all things considered, globally speaking? I see people from time to time with electric cars and solar-powered cars. So maybe at this point, it would make a difference if I joined in. How much of a difference is it going to make when the combustible engine is the norm or the standard around the world? Which brings us back to China. And making good decisions and bad decisions, well decisions and decisions that are favorable and decisions that aren't so favorable and commendable or admirable and not that admirable. Let's say I were to get a car here in the States. People say that's great. What kind of car are you going to get? I'm going to get a Ferrari. Hey, even better. And I get a lot of pats on the back for having me a Ferrari. And a limousine and a car for every day of the week. And then someone says, well, you know what? That's no so impressive in China. I say, why? I say, because we walk in China. And TLC says, no, you don't. Not in the States. Because if you're walking in the States, it's drive by, pass by. You got to get your car. You're walking. We walk, we ride bicycle, we ride moped. We have car, but we do public transportation. And for the most part, we don't really care about Ferrari and all that stuff. We don't attach it to our manhood and say how much horsepower a car have, how much horsepower we have. Between our legs. So it can be very much different, and what's admirable and you know, commendable and so on and so forth can be very relative to where you're at and so on and so forth. Like I say, I can get my act together, stop using all the profanity and a few other things I could do, and I could probably take what I do to China and learn some Mandarin and fare much better than I do perhaps here in the United States of America with it. Maybe the Leaf in the Wind tour would have done quite well in China, for all I know. Here, it's not so commendable. It's not so admirable. In spite of it all. Someone doesn't even know what I'm talking about, because just yesterday I deleted all those videos. Anyhow, that I had prior to that would make a connection to this video, what I'm talking about right now. Anyhow, moving right along. So now, you've got 1 billion some odd people in China to make up the world population. That's a lot of people. So all of a sudden, let's say they go over there and they're thinking, well, now we want Ferrari. They want to do Ferraris now. And they want to do limousines, and they want to have a car for every day of the week. In their garage. Now, is that a problem? Because each individual is out there making a decision, and they don't have something that regulates it for them. They can just go out there and do it at will how they want to do it. And they actually make that happen. So now, their ideology and their paradigm shifted just like that, and they're doing something so much different now. Does that affect you? Each individual out there making these decisions, collectively now, we got 1/8 of the world population out there striving to do just that, like they do here in the States. But combustible engines are still the norm, still the rule, still the standard. You know, we do have people using electric cars, and do have people using solar-powered cars. And why is that? Having said that, yeah, I can go out there right now and hook up with some girl. She has her own set of things going on though, right? She's not a machine. So now I'm making decisions and she's making decisions. So now we got to make collective decisions. Because I just can't come to her and say, well, compute it all in, right? And say, now that's easy peasy. Now that's what I wanted and that's what I'm going to get. You're going to get all kind of things with that. I don't know what that's leading to. It could lead to 18 years of having a child. Now I'm heartbroken because it didn't make it quite 18 years. Or she didn't make it quite 18 years. I'm already predicting a boy or desiring a boy. I don't know. They can come out autistic or whatever, like my sister's baby came out autistic. All these decisions are making a cause and effect, as we well know. And we don't really know the outcome to everything that you decide to do. You know? So it can get very tricky down here as we're making all these decisions. So anyhow, this isn't quite the video that I had, but it is what it is. It's a different video. Just a second. And you could say, why don't you just go with the flow a little bit? I could. I really could. And maybe I ought to. And I think I do. However, there's something I've been saying, and those videos are down as well. I was showing on about something called studio hose. I don't want to get into all right now. Those who heard, they heard. Those who didn't hear, they didn't hear. So I don't want to elaborate too much on what that is and what that entails. But it was more like me getting into a studio, making some music or whatever, living my life out of, like Prince lived out of Paisley Park or something like that, or Jimi Hendrix lived out of Electric Ladyland, you know? And just trying to operate that way and try to keep things as professional as possible when it comes to what I do and how I do it with this, that, and the other, and the ladies as well. And you say, well, man, that sounds kind of fucking robotic. Not really. I'm looking for employees. You say, well, why is that? Because like I just said, she comes with this and she comes with that and she comes with this. And, you know, I'm not going to already hear the lady say, I'm so attractive, but people do it all the time. Meaning condescendingly saying, you know, facetiously saying that's so attractive, but people do it all the time. Like, ask yourself, you wouldn't want to do that? Let's just end it right there. With an employee, let's say I have a band, right? I have a group. Let's call the group The Light. Let's call them The Light. And now, we've got all kind of things going on. I'm understanding this, right? They're human beings, they're people, right? So on and so forth. They come with whatever I come with, for the most part, you know, a real deal person, and you just can't treat them like a robot or wind them up or compute them this way and that way and set them up that way, and say, now go out there and do it. But sometimes when you're trying to do something, that's kind of how you want it done, though, right? You just want to say, look, do A, B, and C and get it done. Like somebody goes to this place right over here, this restaurant, and they say, well, we're hiring you to do A, B, and C and get it done. So you go in there and do A, B, and C and you get it done. And you try to keep all the rest of that shit to a minimum. That doesn't have to do with A, B, and C. So on and so forth. And they may care very much. And they may go out there and we may do all kind of things that goes extra with that A, B, and C. But at the end of the day, if it compromises or conflicts with A, B, and C, then all of a sudden we have to say, look, A, B, and C is where we're at. All this other stuff is great, but A, B, and C is where we're at. So can we stick with the program of A, B, and C? Because A, B, and C is struggling right now, suffering right now. Because you say you want to come in every day and give everybody a Valentine's every day, and it's not even Valentine's Day 365 days of the year. And this is a professional setting and so on and so forth, and we've got production going and all kinds of things going on. And that's how it kind of works in a band. And that's why a lot of bands split the fuck up, because you get a whole lot of extra shit going on, you know? Instead of just saying, look, we have A, B, and C, can we stick to A, B, and C? It's already a bad idea to even try to explain this to certain people. But other people will understand it. And that comes down to decisions that you make. And decisions that you make, decisions that someone else has made. Like I said, if I had decided to have a kid, what happens now? That kid grows up to do I don't know what. I don't know what that kid's gonna grow up to do. Maybe that kid grows up to be fucking like it was in Terminator the movie, right? Responsible for Skynet or some shit like that. You know what? Now the whole world's like, what the hell was that shit? You never know. Like my mother, did she know all the paths I was going to walk and where I was going to be right here, right now today, talking to this damn contraption when she had me in 1974? And in 1974, they barely had phones, let alone smartphones. I don't know. I guess I used the wrong terminology the other day, and I took that video down. I may have deleted it from my phone, as a matter of fact, just to get some storage going on over here. When I said that I'm afraid of life, I used to be afraid of life, afraid to live life. I'm not so much afraid of it. I'm just very cautious. I'm very hesitant. I'm very reluctant just to jump into something and say, well, let's do it. You say, hey, well, take this, man, because I took cigarettes when I was 14 years of age. I smoked my first cigarette. And I went through the gamut of cigarettes: Camels, menthol, non-menthol, Marlboros, Cools, Newport, so on and so forth. It took me 4 years. And I don't know how long, maybe it's my third year in, I really just wanted to quit it. So it took me a whole year just up and down, back and forth, up and down, back and forth, on the floor, up and down, blah, blah, blah. And at one point, I just really made it happen. And I said, okay, look, I'm done. I took every cigarette in the pack of cigarettes that I had. I didn't wait till I was down to my last one to finish the pack. I took every one of them, I lit them, I set them up on their butts, and I sat there and watched them burn down to nothing. I shed a tear because I was going through a whole lot of processing in my mind about what it was and what it wasn't, the line I'm drawing, and so on and so forth, and why. And I've never smoked another cigarette again. I'm 51 years of age now. I was 18 years of age when I quit, and I was 14 when I started. Now, I could be still smoking cigarettes today like my father, who started when I believe he was 19. Now he's in his 70s, and he still smokes cigarettes. He says he can't kick him for shit. Can't kick him for shit. How is he even still alive? Without some kind of emphysema or something like that, something going on. I can't fathom. But that's how it is when you make decisions. You know, so I can go out to the party tomorrow. We got all kind of things going on there. We got the peer pressure. We got all kind of stuff. Or not peer pressure at a grown-ass man, but, you know, people are doing things. Next thing you know, hey, you want to party, Kevin? You got you a drink. Now I'm drinking. I like it. I like the party life. I like the disco life. I like whatever we're doing. Disco now, that's faded, right? It's outmoded. But I like the life that we're doing over here, the party life, the club life, you know? The decision I made. Can I stay uncorrupted? Because now I'm drinking. And it's fun. I'm having a good time. Next thing you know, shit, you're drinking, I'm drinking. We're knocking the boots. I got a baby. You got a baby. Everything changes now. We've got baby now. Everything changes. You know, we could use protection, so on and so forth. I guess we could, but were we supposed to be using protection in the first place? Yet again, another thing that came into the play because we have an issue going on. We have a problem that needs to be addressed. Birth control. Why do we need birth control? It's not natural to have birth control. Yet because we use it and we have it and it's available, and STD control and all the rest of that stuff, right? Sexually transmitted disease control. We use it and we partake of it. I shouldn't even be going into your walls with anything other than a raw penis. How come I don't do that? Many men don't do that. Unless they've been with you, they know you, and they're making sure you're not fooling around and messing around and stuff like that, and then they will go into your walls without a condom. But very rare guys, very rarely, and you let a guy do it as well, very rarely will you let a guy or a guy will go out there and hook up the club, hook up, and people do it all the time, one night stands, and hook up with you and so on and so forth without knowing something about you, or without putting a sleeve on. You say, yeah, that's how we do it, but you haven't really had her yet, in a very kind of technical way. And she hasn't had you yet in a very technical kind of way, but she had you more than you had her as a man. That's just the difference with that sleeve on. I can go into something else right now, but that's just compounding upon that, and it's really kind of not really relevant that we get into that. Let me pause it for a second. Now, would you? I will say the story, matter of fact. A friend of mine, he was going on about a story about how he likes to, he doesn't like the condom. He didn't like the condom. He wasn't a friend of mine, an associate, more of an associate. This is way back when I was in 20-something years of age. And he was going on about he didn't like the condom. He didn't like the condom. He said, you put the condom on anyway, and it will bust. Sometimes it will bust while he's doing his things. He's going really hard. He said it just continues on. And the heat, he feels the warmth from the vagina and everything, and it feels much better now. You can feel it, everything, the juices and everything, he feels much better now. And he just keeps on going because he's in the heat of the moment, you know. So now, would he have done that had he known that condom would have broken? When he would have broken when he went into him? Had he known that before he made that decision, would he have done it? Because we had the example of the Nolan back there, and we didn't know which way the Nolan was going to go. We predicted when we disturbed the Nolan, the Nolan's going to go out this way. But it went that way. If you see the other video, you know what I'm talking about. It went this way and down into the little drain thing, you know? Which brings us back to the sewers. We've got how many people out here using the restroom, the porcelain god, and so on and so forth? How much water is being used for that? How much sewage do we have on planet Earth? That takes however many billions that does that worldwide to make that collective decision that's made on an individual basis what it is. And that's the power of one motherfucker making decisions on a regular basis, individually and collectively. So once again, I ask you, how do the decisions that I make affect you? Has my decisions affected any of you so far, thus far? In any way, any fashion, way, or form at all? And how has it affected you if it has? Is anyone even listening? So what about decisions I decide to make as I continue making decisions? Do you know the decisions I'm going to make, eventually go on to make? How might that affect you? It's difficult to say, isn't it? But I tell you, the decisions that you're making affects me. The decisions that we make collectively affects me. And somehow, some way, the decisions that I made affect you, even in a very small, infinitesimal way. It's affected you. Because I play a part in the collective like you play a part in the collective. I respire. I inhale and I exhale. I have nothing more than that. And that affects us all. And I use the sewer system as well, because I do go into the restroom. And that affects us all. Etc., man. I litter from time to time. All the rest of it. I take public transportation, which uses combustible engines, the ones that I use, the public transportation that I use. I will call Lyft and so on and so forth from time to time. I'm doing my part well. I'm part of the same hypocrisy, I guess, yeah? And why is that? Why am I a part of the same hypocrisy? For the same reason many of you are a part of the same hypocrisy. That's the world that we live in. And that is how it runs. That's how it operates. You got to make that money. I got to have some money. There's very few people out there that can get around, and especially in societies like this, without any kind of money. And one thing leads to another. So now you got the money. Instead of going hunting and fishing, which I could do actually, I could go hunting and fishing, and go into the park or someplace else and go and cook my food on or have something to take with me and cook my squirrels and rabbits and so on and so forth. But I don't think it's squirrel season right now. No rabbit season. Fishing season, I think, is pretty much perennial, right? Four seasons around the year. I can do all kinds of things. And I'm not saying I really give a shit. I'm just talking about, hey, let's just talk about it and for what it is. And maybe one day we might go on to give a shit. Maybe we ought to give a shit, you know? Because if we gave a shit, maybe it would be different. But if we go on like we don't really give a shit, then I don't know, man. Maybe one day we will. If I like to see it in my lifetime, when everything becomes so stressed the fuck out, that you're like, look, we just can't go on this way anymore. That's when you start giving a shit. Like Cryon once said in a video I saw, that people will change because the climate will change. And the climate will get people to change. So Cryon is, whatever he is, fullness of spirit, doesn't seem to be worried about a whole lot of things, concerned about a whole lot of things that Anthony is.